want to welcome Adelle Goldenberg. Adelle is a senior at Harvard. She was born and raised in Brooklyn, where she attended a Hasidic school for girls up until the time she went to college.
So first, I also want to thank Yafet again for organizing this important panel event. I really appreciate all the work that you do. I was born and raised in Williamsburg and then Borough Park, and I attended a Hasidic girls' school all the way through high school. So girls in the Hasidic community sometimes get a much better secular education than the boys. And I was lucky to receive a basic secular education, which the rest of my 6 older siblings did not. So even though it was somewhat censored, I learned like English, reading and writing, science, math, geography, basically the definition of substantial equivalency. However, going to college was actively discouraged, both at home and at school. My high school not only didn't have college resources like a college counselor or information about standardized tests, but there were also obstacles to accessing information that could help you go to college. For example, the Brooklyn Public Library was off limits according to my school's handbook, so I was always afraid to be seen going in there, even though I used it. When I was in the 12th grade, I tried to apply to college, but my principal was explicitly against it. Now, since my school is regulated by the Board of Regents, they're legally required to release secular studies transcripts, but technically before you're 18, your parents have legal ownership over those transcripts. So when I submitted a request for my transcripts to be sent to some colleges, my principal said, "I'm only releasing the transcripts if your parents sign off on it." And my parents had previously made it very clear that they didn't support college, so I knew they wouldn't sign. And my principal also said she wouldn't allow any teachers to write letters of recommendation for my college applications. So I realized very quickly that I would have almost an entirely incomplete application. No transcripts, no letters of recommendation, no counselor's letter from my high school. So I decided to wait until I turned 18, and that's what I did. I graduated from high school. As soon as I turned 18, I called my school and asked them to release my transcripts, and I applied on my own to colleges in New York City. I ended up being accepted by Baruch College, which is a constituent college of CUNY, with limited application materials, and I enrolled and started commuting from home, and I really loved it. But after one semester, I applied to transfer colleges because I wanted to leave Borough Park, and Baruch didn't have a residential campus that I could actually live in. But this time I actually had institutional support. I had really incredible professors who wrote letters for me, and I also think at Baruch I was able to show that I could do college coursework, something colleges probably couldn't assess from my high school transcripts. And in the spring, I got into Harvard, and I transferred as an incoming sophomore 2 years ago, and I'm now starting my senior year. I was starting out on this journey towards higher education. I was really desperate for any help. I was willing to go to do anything, but I just needed someone to tell me what I had to do, and I didn't know what the ACT was until I got to college, actually. So I had all this informational resources gap. And so I reached out to anyone who could help, and I actually reached out to Yafet as well. And I got basically no responses, but that's okay because they didn't have an expanded staff at the time. And so I basically had to just figure it out anyway and do it on my own. But once I did, I was committed to making it easier for other people so that no one would have to basically go through to just to get to college. And now I had a lot of help from Yafed, and we worked on this college guidebook. We started last summer, and Chaim was actually super helpful, and that is on Yafed's website, and it's also on HasidicCollegeAccess.com, where we also provide guidance.
Naftuli, you have quite a tale, and I would really appreciate if you could tell us, it's quite a saga, tell us how you what prompted your decision to go to school, and then the journey that you took subsequently.
Great. Thank you so much, Anita, for moderating this panel. So in yeshiva, there wasn't much of a distinction between elementary, middle, or high school. In fact, we didn't even know that we're going to elementary or in high school. We didn't use those words because all of it was done in Yiddish, right? So like Jean mentioned, we had cheder, which was elementary and middle school. Then there was yeshiva katana, which is like the first few years of high school. And then there was yeshiva gedola, which is the last year of high school and beyond. So those are, of course, Hebrew words for small yeshiva and big yeshiva. So in some grades in elementary and middle school, we received a little bit of secular education. It consisted of basic English and arithmetic, and it happened at the end of the school day, taught by inexperienced teachers themselves, graduates of the same yeshivas. And it was seen by students and teachers alike as just another hour of recess, and in some cases, practically hooliganism. So then in high school, once we entered high school, we got cut off completely from the little secular education that we had. And instead, we studied Judaic studies all day. And again, all of it was taught in Yiddish. I mean, the text is obviously ancient Hebrew and Aramaic, but our spoken language was Yiddish, so everything was translated to Yiddish. After yeshiva, I began craving some more education. Not that I even knew what it means, okay? So specifically, I wanted to become a psychologist because I saw there was a lot of mental illness in my community that went undiagnosed and untreated due to the stigma and the lack of mental health professionals. So I began researching what becoming a psychologist would entail. I was stumped at every step of the way. I could barely understand anything I was reading about going to college. So I finally went into a local school, a local college, which is catered to Orthodox Jews, but perhaps not to Hasidic Jews. And I asked to enroll. And they asked me if I had a high school diploma, but I didn't even know what that was. And again, I never thought I attended high school. So they asked me, they sent me to my yeshiva, like Jean, to find out if I have anything. All I got from them was a letter saying that I completed high school. There was no transcript. There was no legitimacy to it whatsoever. So the school wanted to help me get in even without a high school diploma. But I needed to take an exam, an entrance exam. It consisted of a basic essay, writing a basic essay, and doing essentially a math quiz. I couldn't do either. I didn't even know what the word essay meant, let alone how to actually write one. In fact, one of the prompts of the essay, because it was an Orthodox college, was about the Exodus from Egypt. But I hadn't heard the word Exodus or Egypt growing up, because again, all of it was taught in Yiddish. So the school, they really wanted me because of my tuition, so they pushed me along, and I had to take rigorous remedial courses in English, which didn't count towards my degree, as well as Math 101. So that was kind of like the way I got into school. It was a tremendous struggle, but I guess we can get to those questions as we move along.